Welcome, everyone. I am John Ryan of SportsMemo.com, and you are watching the NBA Triple Double Show for March the 29th, 2022. I'm glad that you're taking the time to tune in here. I'm going to get this done in about 10 minutes' time. We're going to break down 3 games. That's the triple part. And I'm running solo today, but that is okay. We'll make the best of it, of course. And hopefully I'll give you some more winners with this broadcast. So let's get right to it. We're going to talk about the NBA playoffs here, and the Boston Celtics lost last night. They did not play Tatum or Brown. They went from the top seed to the 4 seed in one night, and that reflects how many teams are bunched up in this massive run for the top seed and to avoid the Brooklyn Nets. Even if the Brooklyn Nets come in as the 8 seed, which I don't think they will come in because they already are the 7 seed, they're chasing down Toronto, but they're 4 games behind them with only 7 to go. So I think that's rather unlikely to happen. But nevertheless, none of the teams in the Eastern Conference want to take on the Nets now that Kyrie Irving can play in home games. And who knows what the input is going to be from Ben Simmons, if he even plays. But if he does play and comes off the bench and provides some defense, which is obviously his skill set. He was the runner-up Defensive Player of the Year the last 2 years. And can you imagine him playing defense and playing it anywhere close to what he's capable of doing while KD and Kyrie are getting rest on the bench? I think that is a very powerful combination. And as a coach of the other teams, I would not want to face the Nets at all. So let's take a look at the first game here. And that's the Milwaukee Bucks are traveling to Philadelphia to take on the Philadelphia 76ers, who are the top seed, the 2nd seed right now in the Eastern Conference. Let's just go back and double check that. They are the 2nd seed there. They're tied with the Miami Heat technically, but they're 2 games behind in the win column, but they are even in the loss column, as are the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the exact same record as the Sixers coming into this very important game for both teams in their playoff seedings. And at 46-28, the 76ers are obviously in the playoffs. They're going to end up winning probably 50 games on the season. They have 8 to go. That means they would go 4-4 over the last 8, and they'll do better than that. They're 35-37 with 2 pushes against the number, as you can see, and they're 21-16 at home. Last year they were the number 1 team in the Eastern Conference in home record. This year they're the number 1 team with a road record best. 21-16 there. No, that's the home record. The away record I think is even better. It's 25-11 if I remember off the top of my head. But they are very good on the road, and this is a game that the line is only minus 1.5 points. I'm going to lean here on the Sixers minus the 1.5. I've been following the player news to make sure that everybody that I know is playing is going to continue to play, and there's not any last-minute scratches. If there are, I will update this in the comments section in the YouTube channel. So check back around 6:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for any last-minute updates from me. And I'll be sure to get any comments, even confirming that it is good to go as is. There's nothing to add in terms of news. So you can see here that Milwaukee has, advantages. Their scoring is 114 points per game, ranking 4th in the association. They are going up against a team that likes to play slow, as the Sixers do. They don't like to really rush. And, by an NBA standard, it is still a fast pace, don't get me wrong, but they are much more methodical, especially when Embiid is in the lineup, because he can play the post, and there's a lot of movement going on when he gets the ball and he's waiting to be double teamed or not be double teamed. It takes a few more seconds per possession for the 76ers to get a shot off. That doesn't mean it's bad, because they are one of the most efficient offenses in the NBA. And James Harden is struggling from the field, and still they are getting the job done. They lost to the Phoenix Suns in their last game on the road. It was the 3rd of the 3-game road trip where they beat the Clippers and the Lakers at the Crypto Center, or Crypto.com, whatever it's called now. To me, it's the Staples Center still. And they lost to the Phoenix Suns, who are the best team in the NBA. They have the best record in the second half of the season as well. Boston Celtics are the team that I think is really surging up that leaderboard. And, if you didn't see it happening, you now know it. And even though they dropped the number 4, they are a team that is fully capable of getting that number 1 seed. And every game now matters. Every game is essentially a playoff type of game. In this matchup, I like the Sixers. And we'll move on right now to the Detroit Pistons, who are not in the playoffs, obviously. They're taking on those Brooklyn Nets that I just spoke about. This game opened at minus 12.5. It's now minus 14. And you can see that across the board on this graph, it's all Brooklyn. And Brooklyn, I mean, ask yourself a question. Who needs this game more? Does Detroit need it because they want to improve their record and get less ping pong balls for the lottery pick? Of course not. But they're also not going to throw the game away. I can't even get my hands around that idea because every one of these athletes has played hard in probably every single game they've been involved with, unless it's a blowout or something like that where they're not quite playing at 100%, but they're still trying. So in this matchup, though, I think the Nets just take care of business. Kyrie coming off his first home game since the vaccination protocols have been lifted in New York City, and didn't do so well. But you know what? That's his first home game. You know, the sight lines are, even though it's your home court, you still got to get used to it. The sight lines may be different from the last time he was on the court. And, you know, I do think that the fans ought to give him just a little bit of a break here. I gave him a pass in that first game, but I do expect big things out of him tonight. And I wouldn't be surprised if he puts up big numbers across the board. And, you know, along with KD. I mean, they're the two offensive powers on this team, and I don't see anybody on Detroit that can stop them for the full 48 minutes. So I think Brooklyn wins this game by 15 or more than likely 20 or more. And there are some interesting stuff here with the Pistons are 24-15 against the spread after scoring 105 or fewer points. That's actually supposed to be the Pistons are 15-24 against the number, so excuse that right there. And also the over is where we're leaning here. The over is 13-6 following back-to-back games in which the Pistons scored 105 or fewer points. The Nets are 44-31 with one push over when facing teams that average less than 108 points per game, which is essentially the league average, and that's why it's 108 points per game. And those are games played over the last 2 seasons. They're 23-10 over the total. The Nets are just this season alone. So that is a pretty powerful situational angle to consider for the over. And from my predictive models, we're expecting the Nets to score at least 115 points and shoot 47% or better from the field. And there's no doubt I think that will occur. You know, there's no guarantees, of course, and I don't want to say that this is a lock to happen, but it is likely, maybe 75% and higher probability that both of those performance measures are met. And when they are met, you can see that the Nets are very good. 74-14 straight up, 65-23 against the number for 74% winning bets, and 67-21 over-under for 76% winning over bets when they score 115 and shoot 47% or better from the field in games played over the last 3 seasons. So I like the Nets, and I like the over in this matchup. Let's move on to the next game, and it is the third and final game, the Utah Jazz against the Los Angeles Clippers. Clippers are the 8th seed in the Western Conference, 3 games under 500, clinging to getting into the play-in tournament. And I might add here, there's been questions sent to me in direct message on Twitter. How does this play-in tournament work? So here's how it works. The 8 and 9 teams play. Those seeds play a game. The winner of that game is not in. However, the game between the 7 and 8 seed, the winner of that game is automatically in as the 7 seed in the bracket. The 8 seed then is determined by the loser of the 7 and 8 seed game going up against the winner of the 9 versus 10 seed. And that winner of that third game is the 8 seed in the bracket. So that's how that works for the play-in tournament. And in this matchup, we have the Jazz, who are 5th in the Western Conference, 45-30, 15 games over 500. They are at 31-41 with 3 pushes against the number, so the market has overpriced them a bit over the course of the season, especially the second half of the season. They are 19-19 away, and they're 44-23 when installed as a favorite. They are a skinny favorite in this game, as we see. And the matchup here clearly supports the Utah Jazz. The Utah Jazz are, you can see where the check marks are. They're sixth in scoring at 113 points per game. Points allowed per game, they're 10th, allowing 107.6. That differential is one of the best in the NBA Association. Field goal percentage, they're 5th, and on down the list you can see on the graphic. So this game, I'm clearly on the Utah Jazz, and the betting angle of the day supports the Jazz. You're going to bet on favorites facing a host that is coming off a double-digit home loss. And the host has a win percentage that is a modest losing record, modest winning record that ranges between 45 to 55% wins on the season. That's all there is to it. Last 5 seasons, it's gone 103-31 straight up for 77% winners using the money line, which in this case I would recommend the money line because the line is so skinny. And also 86-45 with 3 pushes against the number for 65% winning bets using the spread. So I suggest as my best bet for the show, bet on the Utah Jazz money line at not higher than minus 120. I'm seeing it minus 115 before recording this earlier today. And it probably is going to go to minus 120 and possibly minus 125. But do your best to get minus 120 or better on the Utah Jazz, meaning you bet it sooner rather than later. So we'll be back again tomorrow. Wednesday for another edition of the NBA Triple Double Show. And until then, you always remember 2 things watching these shows, right? You're going to bet with your head, and you're not going to bet over it. And may all the wins be yours.